Hey everyone, Paulus here. Welcome back. So today we're going to talk about what your natural leadership style is. We all know what good leadership is. We've worked with good leaders, we see good leaders, and we've also seen, shall we say, not so good ones. But not all leaders are the same. There are different styles of leadership. In this video, I want to walk you through some of them so you can figure out what your natural style is. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. If you've been following me for any amount of time, you know I've kind of challenged the status quo quite often. And so you might find that a little bit in this video as well. So I've been on this kick lately, just researching a lot about leadership styles, about different types of functions and positions in companies. So like the Rocket Fuel book with EOS talks about like the integrator and visionary role. I talk a lot about like the president, CEO role. There's just a lot of different combinations and different philosophies out there. And I've just been trying to navigate it. I like to look at the different patterns, go deep dive and research what everybody thinks, and then put it to like kind of my sniff test. I'm very principle based, and I'm really on a mission to find truths that are universal, that can be used across all businesses. So like, what are the principles that all businesses can apply? And then what are the nuances that are unique to businesses that should be unique to businesses? And so that way we can start to discern better the advice that's out there. Okay, so one of the books I'm reading is actually that personality isn't permanent. There's a big craze to like 16 personalities, what's your personality test? I got into it deep too. And then I started to just question it after a while. It's like, I don't ever want to feel inhibited by my personality. And I really believe as people that we are capable of changing. And I've never really liked it when people say, this is just the way I am. Like that just never really appealed to me and never been the way that I am. I believe, hey, if I'm not good at something or if I'm uncomfortable with something, if I try hard enough at it, I can usually get better at that thing. My daughter was not a good singer. She loves singing. She will sing everywhere. She's taken choir every year. She loves it. She has become a good singer. She couldn't hold a note for the life of her before. Like it's amazing when you put your mind to it and you have the grit and determination, you are able to really become something that you maybe naturally were not. So when I talk about natural leadership styles in this video, I want to challenge your thinking a little bit. And so that's what you will see throughout this video. Okay, so what are 3 qualities as leaders in general that we should all possess? I've talked about these in other videos as well, and I'll continue to talk about them, but I believe there's 3 qualities every good leader should have. And I think it's the 3 qualities that you will see are missing in most leaders today. Compassion, humility, and moderation. Compassion is just a reminder to leaders that people are not capital, that they have feelings, that they have emotions, that it's our job as leaders to take care of them and to really empathize with them and understand their situation. And it really makes people the highest priority. So no matter if automations come in, technology comes in, all of that is to enhance the human experience. And if we have compassion for people, even people that we don't necessarily agree with, we're able to really elevate the human experience to a higher level. And if we all did that as humanity, think of the difference that would be in the world. Okay, the next one is humility. Humility really inspires us as leaders to surround ourselves with people that are smarter than us, better than us. I can safely say that I love when people are smarter than me, when I don't have to make all the decisions anymore. That is like the best feeling ever. And humility really isn't about thinking small. It's just reminding ourselves that we're just one small piece of the whole equation, that it's everybody's strengths coming together. I look at business as like a puzzle. When you bring different strengths together, like you can work magic, you can innovate in ways that you never thought possible, which kind of leads me to the 3rd component that I believe every leader should have, which is around moderation. When we think of moderation, we really think of it as modern day terms where it's everything in none of our extremes. It's really about finding harmony between competing dichotomies and paradoxes. And so really, if you think about it, it's really about finding a 3rd way to do things. I always talk a lot about innovation, like how do we innovate more as companies? And it's really about challenging our way of thinking. And as leaders, we don't know everything. And so if we create and empower the people around us on our team, we can find 3rd ways for humanity to elevate the human experience. I don't even think we've touched what's possible through innovation, because if you think about management this last century, we've learned to micromanage people and say, here's your thing, here's how you do it, the assembly line process. Well, now with automations, we've automated a lot of that assembly line process. So what are people good for? Well, we need people to be able to use our brains, to be able to be empowered, to be able to make decisions, to be able to think differently. Like that is something that we cannot be replaced by AI and things. I think there's a piece of the human brain that it's the creativity that comes within us that is valuable. And as we grow and expand in automations, it's going to be super critical that we empower our teams to be able to do that as leaders. Because I've gotten more opinionated about personality tests and they can give us good information, especially when we're younger, but as we grow older, I think it kind of can limit us. I've been focusing more on the function of roles in companies. And so it's like, what is the function of like, okay, you're in this position, here are the requirements and accountability you need to do. You need to level up to that. So as we talk about different leadership styles, a lot of times people be like, well, this is my leadership style and this is what I have to do in every area of business. No, I want to talk about the leadership styles, not to say this is the one I am, but it's that, hey, I'm going to be a blend of these. I'm going to use different ones depending on the situation. So I want us to think more in gradient terms, more in situational decision-making. You know, how should I be for this? Like, it really depends on the situation. So let me actually read you the formal definition of a function. So a function is an activity or purpose natural to or intended for a person or thing. And so I love that. It's natural to or intended for. And so some things might be natural for you, but otherwise it might be intended for. I mean, if you're in this role, you got to level up to that position or else you won't be able to progress. And that's what I see. I think a lot of things that halt companies is the emotional intelligence doesn't rise to the level that people need. And so a lot of times as you grow as a company, your A players might become your B players, and your B players might become your C players. You see this happen all the time because what happens is people aren't willing to level up to that next level because as people, we don't like to get uncomfortable, which is why one of our core values in our company is embrace the uncomfortable, because I know to get to the level of company that I plan to get to, we are constantly going to have to be embracing the uncomfortable. And the employees that aren't willing to keep up with that aren't really going to make it in our organization. So I'm just going to briefly talk about 3 kind of leadership functions first, and then we'll go into styles. But I've noticed this a lot as we've hired a lot of different layers, you know, director level, manager level, employee level. So I literally break it up into 3 areas: management, leadership, and experts. So when you think about management, a lot of times you think you can elevate managers to becoming more director or leader level, but a lot of times they can't. Like, managers are usually good at managing kind of tasks within projects or programs or maybe a smaller department, but they really struggle with maybe the bigger vision part and really kind of thinking outside the box to innovate and expand. And so just be aware that a lot of times managers might, doesn't mean that they can't grow into leaders, but a lot of times you need to challenge them and to get them some training to really understand how leadership a lot of times is different than just the management role. Just because someone was a great manager, we thought, oh, they'll be a great kind of director or leader level. And we found out that we actually had to move them back into a manager level, which doesn't always work. Sometimes people aren't always okay moving back down, but he wasn't thriving in that role and it wasn't setting him up for success. And so just be aware that as you move people into these roles or as you put people in these roles, that not everybody's good at every single one of them. Whereas a leader, they kind of have to think outside the box a little more. They have to mentor and empower and coach other people. Their job is to create leaders of leaders, right? They're really focused on the vision and really making sure that that's captured by the managers and that's taken down into the employees and that they're overseeing the overarching data and KPIs that the manager should be managing. And then the expert is like, I'm really good at this thing and this one thing. So, and I've done it so many times in so many different ways that I'm just going to tell you how to do it. There really isn't a lot of guiding and coaching. It's like, I know this, do it, here's how you do it. And so they all have their place for different things. So when you're creating your org chart, just understand that as you're starting to get depth and you're building layers, it's important to understand those different functions. Okay, so before we dive into the different styles of leadership, if you like videos like this and you're looking to build a team, really looking to really build a sustainable company that can grow without you, I'm just here to create tons of free content for you, free giveaways, things like that you can have to really help your business get to the next level. So again, I would love it if you'd like to subscribe to this channel. It helps, grow the channel and really bring more entrepreneurs to us that can really take advantage of this content. Okay, so now let's dig into the leadership styles. And I want you to look at these loosely and not be like, this is the one I am, but look at it as more of a gradient. You might have a more dominant one that comes naturally to you, but there's times you got to put on another hat and be this other leadership style because it's the right thing to do. I'm a big proponent of doing the right thing, not necessarily what you think you are. And so we can adapt. We're humans, and that's a great thing about us. We can adapt and evolve and innovate and expand what we're capable of. Just the last 100 years, if you look at it, it's genius stuff that's happened. We are capable of, I think, more than we can ever dream of. So let's not sell ourselves short with leadership styles, personality tests, all that stuff. We are in control of who we want to become, and let's elevate to that level. Okay, so the first leadership style is really authoritarian, the do as I tell you type. And this is a tough one to be able to really empower a team because to me, even managers should really start to create leaders within them too. I really believe in that kind of servant leader mentality of everybody's there to really serve. Again, if every leader is supposed to have humility, compassion, and moderation, no matter the style, this one really is tough to fit in there. But sometimes there's a time when you have to be like, the ship is sinking. I got to make a decision. As much as I want to empower the employees, if the ship's sunk, there's not really a whole lot we can do. So those are usually probably some situations where the authoritarian kind of kicks in, where it's like, doesn't do any good if the ship's going to sink anyways, so I'm just going to make the decision. Okay, the second one is authoritative. Like, hey, come join me on this mission. You're empowering the team and empowering employees. And sometimes this can get a little off if you don't have a clear goal, because everybody's kind of doing their own thing and kind of feeling empowered. So I always think it's really important when you're doing this to make sure you have a clear company goal, like one big domino goal, and then sub goals for the team, so the team can all be channeled and really start performing by all focusing on that one goal. And so it's a great way to kind of empower a team, build communication, and get people working together. Okay, so affiliative is more like, hey, it's the people that count. So no matter what, we're going to help the people. And sometimes it can feel a little too soft. Again, if you have the compassion, humility, and moderation, and you have accountability metrics and goals, this is where, to me, the leadership styles no longer matter quite as much. And I'm talking about these because this is what everybody wants to hear, right? The different types of leadership styles. But at the end of the day, if you have those three qualities and you have accountability and you're all working towards a goal, the leadership style becomes a little bit more organic based on the situation. And you don't have to necessarily remember these leadership styles so much as you're in the situation. But like, one of our core values is to build people up. So because it's a core value of ours, like, this is kind of a part of our culture, not necessarily just the leadership part, but at the end of the day, we want to build people up. But at the end of the day too, if the ship's sinking, you got to make the right decision. I've seen this sometimes in my company where it's like, yeah, we got to take care of people. I get that. But we also got to make sure we keep the boat afloat. And so it's just that balance between those things that's important to achieve. Okay, democratic is like, what do you think? And this is probably my biggest weakness as a leader, and one that I'm constantly working on. Again, it just doesn't mean, I didn't say, oh, because this isn't my strength, I'm just not that way. No, I know there's a place when this is super valuable, and it's usually most of the time. Like, if people come up with the answers themselves and you get them to make decisions, then they will be able to start making decisions. Like, sometimes we as leaders can cut off people's ability to make decisions, and then you're like, why aren't they just doing stuff? It's because we've cut them off. So we need to intentionally empower our employees. When I'm on a call, Cameron, who's my president of my company, is when we're on a call, we're both really similar, where this is probably a weakness of ours. And so sometimes in meetings, we'll both be quiet, and we purposely aren't talking because we want other people to talk. And I'm like, I know you're being quiet because you're trying to empower other people to not speak up, because we're both passionate people, and we both get excited and we love ideas and talking. But sometimes the people that are the thinkers, that are like, I'm going to think through it before I say something, you kind of have to be okay with dead space, and you have to be okay with a little bit of silence so that they have time to process. For me, I'm a quick thinker, and I can think on the fly, and so I can just start spitting out ideas. But I realize not everybody's like that. And that doesn't mean, those are actually the smarter people, the ones that are probably deeper thinkers than us people that just rattle off ideas on the fly. So I actually love the deep thinkers on my team, and I've had to learn to really be more patient and just let them process. And sometimes it's the next day they come to me with gold. Again, that's probably my biggest learning lesson as an entrepreneur, is just learning patience, because that is definitely not my intrinsic trait that I have, for sure. So the next one is really emphasis on performance. Like, hey, just do what I do. And this can be good other than people, when somebody's very process driven and has it all lined out, here's what you need to do, and here's how I did it. It really kind of can cut off the team from thinking, or they become reliant on it. They don't know how to think without that person guiding them along the way. And I've seen this with somebody that we have on our team recently, and you have to be careful with that. It's more than one way to do things, and when you have other people collaborating, you're able to find different ways, because your knowledge might be limited to your experience and what you've worked with. And so by having other people's experiences involved in that, you can find different ways and can be challenged. And that allows you to really troubleshoot if something's not working, because you're like, you can keep doing it the same way, but eventually you got to change if it's not working. Okay, and then the last one is really around coaching. It's like, hey, try it again, mentoring them and building them up. And again, another weakness of mine that I'm working on. But again, these are qualities that I might not be great at, but I know are super critical for me if I want to keep elevating how big my company gets. Eventually, if I don't keep elevating myself in these areas, my company will stop growing at some point. You have to be careful kind of when you're coaching people that people want it too. And a great way to do that is just ask them, hey, can I give you some advice for this? Otherwise, it might just seem like you're patronizing them and you really want to create a culture of coaching. It's okay. Okay, so just to recap, I kind of approach things on like more what's your function, what's your role in your company, and then what's required for that, and then elevating to that bar. I lean towards that personality isn't permanent. If there's something you want to fix that you're not super great at, work on it. Make that happen. I obviously don't buy this is just the way I am. I don't let myself get away with that, so I'm not going to let any of you get away with that either. And then I think of leadership as more of a gradient. I don't think we're just one thing. I think we're chameleons in a way, right? What is it that we need to do in this situation, and then adapt to that. Okay, so hopefully this video was helpful. I know I kind of threw rocks at some traditional things that are out there, but I just want to get you thinking about leadership and thinking differently. And my goal isn't to just say, here's exactly what you need to do, but to start to give you the principles that you can take in and understand and start to think and use our heart and our mind together to discern and make decisions and become emotionally intelligent in what we do, so that we can then become great leaders and really make an impact on the world. So if you want to learn how to actually leverage your time as a leader to be able to continue to grow your company, get it to run without you, I'm actually putting on a free 5-day event called Mastermind My Time. You can actually go to mastermindmytime.com. So the link will be in the description. It's just a small commitment each day, so you can kind of still do your everyday stuff. It'll be pre-recorded, but there's lots of free gifts each day for everybody. It's not a drawing, everybody gets it. Tons of free value each day. You will really learn how to be smarter with your time and not just be good at managing your time. I really want you to elevate to the next level. That's really how wealth is built. So again, you can go to mastermindmytime.com.